Elevate Your Grind brought to you by the Cannabis Lab. We are live at the Bezinga Cannabis Capital Conference, and all those cheers that you're hearing in the background are for my guest, Jesse Channon.
Not true, but I'll take it. What's
I
up,
mean,
man?
in theory, they technically are.
They are.
The brand that you have brought to market in so
Yes.
many states is
Yes.
on stage behind us.
They are. It's actually almost surreal. Sitting here right now, right behind us, obviously Chad and the Karma team going on with Tyson and Rick. So, yeah, that has been an adventure of a lifetime.
Absolutely. I understand you're supposed to be on stage at the end of this to hit Ric Flair with a steel chair.
Actually, Mike's gonna punch me. So it's that. My scenario is way more likely.
Yeah, there you go, man. No, Jesse, it's great to have you back on the show. I know we had you on probably a year-ish or so ago, right around the time where you guys did the deal with Tyson 2.0.
That's right.
It's great to see what the brand has done in so many markets for you.
It's incredible. I mean, I want to be so clear, right? All the credit goes to that team. Like, it's the best partners are the ones that you feel so incredibly comfortable with and you have the opportunity to work with strategically. And then you watch it come to life. And so Chad obviously is the chairman, but Adam Wilkes and the team at Tyson that have brought that brand to life, just incredibly talented. Mike being so engaged in the rollout and in the brand, I think it's so authentic. Like it really meant something. And it still means something. So it's just been a blast.
See, the only reason I'm upset about Mike's old brand is because everything was branded TR. And those are my initials. And I'm like, oh, well, I get cool Mike Tyson gear that has my initials on it. Other than that, I'm a big fan of everything that you guys are doing.
The Tyson 2.0 reinvent has been fast and furious. And look, I think the thing that I'm probably most proud about in all seriousness with that brand is that we had the opportunity to do something to bring meaningful products and I think an authentic brand to market that resonated so well that now it is being cultivated and manufactured by multiple partners across the country. They've got a whole slew of partners that are on both the regulated and the non-regulated side. They've had expansions into Telltale. They've just done so much with the brand. And I think that as an industry in the past, we maybe have made some mistakes in trying to hold on to things too tight, trying to be too exclusive about stuff. And so to watch this one sort of come to life and the excitement, I mean, I go to dispensaries when Mike shows up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's people lined up around the corner and all they want to do is get in there and take a picture with the champ.
Yeah.
And it's like that. It's been really fun to be a part of something that brings that much happiness to people.
So to me, it's come full circle. I've been a huge Mike Tyson fan my whole life. So when he was actually training for the fight that inspired the Mike Bites, if you will, he lived in Boca Raton, Florida. He lived in the neighborhood called the Shores. Don King bought a house for Mike to live in while he was training. Mike lived 12 doors now for me. So every morning, right before I was going to school, it was elementary school, Mike and his team of bodyguards would jog by my house. And I remember as a little kid growing up, I would be out on the roof. I would walk out my window, go onto the roof of my garage and watch Mike jog by. And, it's funny. It's so great. And this is just turning into Mike Tyson Love Fest. And
he's the man.
But it's so cool to see him go from the baddest man on the planet, go through his transitions into being in The Hangover, then his one-man show, and now Mike the Entrepreneur. I love seeing this journey. And I think some people who may not know, they might be like, oh, he's getting into weed, it's just part of his personality. It's like, no, this has just been part of his journey. And you hear him on Rogan and you hear him on Stern talking about how he says a lot of times, like, he doesn't like the guy he is when he's off cannabis.
Correct. Look, he's on stage 100 yards behind us right now.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, if you walked up to him right now and you said, what is cannabis meant to your life? He would tell you authentically everything. Because it helps him be, to your point, it helps him be the person that he wants to be on a daily basis. And so, look, I think that is one of the things that's always struck me as really powerful about our industry is that everyone who you talk to, sure, there's plenty of people that you talk to that just, music sounds better, food tastes better. I like getting a good night's sleep, right? And it does, by the way. But there are so many people that tell you these stories about how it materially impacts their life. It fundamentally changes the way that they deal with, some sort of, pain or, whatever it may be. And those things are pretty incredible, right? To sort of, you go to a dispensary and people come up to you, patients and customers come up to you and tell these stories. It's super humbling to know that, we get to be on the other side of that. We get to grow these plants and put them in the hands of people that need them. And I think it's a great thing. And someone like Mike, who helps to expand the audience of people that are now interested in safe and regulated products versus illicit market products, and helps to sort of, expand that consumer base. I think that's a really good thing.
Even on the point, like, we talk about the medicinal uses, and there's so many. I've had so many amazing stories with the autism and epilepsy, and then today we had somebody on the show that was talking about leveraging it for dementia patients to help with their cognitive abilities. That's all beautiful, and that's a beautiful side of the industry, and I can be prouder of it. But even just giving the average person a safer option or a better option for them than alcohol. Like, don't get me wrong, I like having a couple whiskeys just like the next guy, but there have been plenty of times where I've had too much whiskey and I'm throwing up like a madman and I'm sick, and it is detrimental to your health. The worst thing that's ever happened to me when I've smoked too much weed is I've fallen asleep on the couch.
Yeah. I mean, it's California sober is a thing. Like, it's a thing, and I think it's enjoyed by many. Not outing myself, but I think it's enjoyed by many, and it's a very gentle lifestyle for sure.
It is, man. So I love seeing what Columbia Care is doing. You guys about a year or 2 years ago did the rebrand to Cannabist here in the state of Florida. I can tell you, I frequent the Delray Beach location.
Oh, it's awesome,
is one of the most beautiful aesthetically dispensaries in the state. Inside of it, I remember I work with Aaron Hammond, who was formerly of Higher Standards. I remember going in there and saying, "Hey man, I don't know if you know this, but your products are on the shelves there." And he's like, "What?" I go, "You need to go into the store because they have higher." Like, it does have that look and feel of a California dispensary, which is very hard to do in the state of Florida.
It is. It was Florida's an interesting market, right? I mean, there's a lot of sort of regulatory constraints that makes building out some of the space and the signage and a number of other things maybe a little bit more difficult or a little bit more challenging than other markets. Florida was also a really unique challenge because it was one of the states where everything had to be done all at once. So that flip for those 14 locations had to be done overnight, right?
Yes,
you can only operate one banner in the market. And so we were incredibly excited to get it in the market here. It was unbelievably well received. It's continued to perform well. We get lots of feedback on like, oh, this almost feels like too nice to be a dispensary.
It does.
But I think we're moving as an industry from buyers to shoppers. We know that. And if you put the customer in the middle of all the decisions that you make, from a retail merchandising point of view, from a design point of view, from a brand point of view, the SKU rationalization, the cultivation, it's tough to go wrong. And so the team, I mean, shout out to the team, Greg Murphy, Steph Green, Laura Dubé, who basically led the Cannabist rebrand. I'm really proud that they did that. They stuck to that as the North Star, and every decision that had to be made was made with that clear intention. We want to deliver an experience to the customer that's somewhere that we would want to go or somewhere that we'd want to send our mom. And that, I think, was really impactful.
How hard is it? You guys operate in so many different states that, you have some of these pure recreational markets where you have a lot of freedom and you can truly operate like a CPG brand. I know that you were very instrumental in bringing the brand Classics to the market as well. When all of a sudden you have this great market like Florida that has all this upside, and I can say it, you don't have to. It is a recreational market hiding under a medical banner. How is it where you want to do everything that you're doing in these truly recreational markets, but you restrict it? Like, how hard is it to bend that to a state, some of these limited licenses, medical states?
It's really interesting. It is difficult. I would say it's almost frustrating, right? Because some of the customer experiences, some of the engagement and education that we're able to provide in some markets, you can't get into every market, right? But I think that's also exciting. And I think that one of the things that we really challenged ourselves to do with the Cannabist, in particular with that build, was future-proof it. So let's put in place really interesting sort of moments throughout that retail that are underutilized right now, right? So we have like an education bar that will not always be an education bar as regulations change, right? We have, these dynamic sort of screens and self-serve kiosks and all of these things that, as regulations and compliance sort of evolve, we will have the opportunity to reprogram those into a much richer and a much fuller retail experience. And so I think that was one of the driving forces. A state like Florida 5 years from now should look and feel much more similar to what we see in California, right? So if you design a space for the consumers that exist today, but also around the principles that you believe will define a great shopping experience in the future, I think you end up with something like Cannabist.
And I'm excited because Columbia Care owns one of my favorite dispensaries out on the West Coast, Project Cannabis.
I
know you guys got got that through acquisition. But I remember I was spending the weekend in San Francisco, and it was the last store on my list. And I'm just like, I'm going to go check this out. And I walked in and I was blown away. It was one of the greatest cannabis shopping experiences I've ever had in my life.
That's amazing.
Just the freedom to truly shop like a human being, to literally grab a grocery basket and have a pre-roll tower or a stack, and have there's a bud tender who was just walking me through and showing me everything, and all the jars are out on the shelves, and you can truly just it really was the greatest shopping experience. And I don't think people can understand that until they go in there, because every other dispensary that I went to that day was a counter with a menu.
And look, so first of all, I think it's important to point out that many of the operators that exist today have evolved from that ecosystem. So much of our infrastructure is based on regulatory, but it's also based on the sort of practical reality that you can't just gut and redo interiors every 6 months as things change, right? Dispensaries are incredibly intimidating places. Maybe not to someone who's used to them or who's used to going to them, but the exact thing that you just described is the thing that I hate the most about a dispensary, which is you get in a line, you get pushed to the front, somebody literally looks at you and says, "What do you want?" And it's like, you're supposed to know in that moment.
Half of us are using cannabis for anxiety, and you're going to make me decide what I want. Like, wait, the menu needs to flip back to flower.
So I hate that, right?
Yeah.
So what we did is we tried to design a space that felt a little bit safer, that the touchstone was this concept of empathetic education.
Yeah.
Treat people like humans as they come in, right? Let's be empathetic, but let's be inspiring. Let's get excited about what we do, and let's get excited to educate. And I think that's what you see in those more normalized shopping experiences. Like, there's nothing wrong with being here.
No.
Like, you're good. Shop, look at stuff, touch things, buy things.
And I will give you credit to the point that you're able to do it here in the Florida market. You've put the obviously you can't put product out on the floor, but you put packaging out on the floor to where it makes me look and feel like I'm seeing product, even though you're doing it the right way and it's not an actual product. I can't open it, can't smell it, but just walking in, it makes me feel more like I'm at a dispensary. And I guess it helped when I went to Project Cannabis. You've had some of my brands on Buy Two Get One too, so it was amazing. But I'm excited for the point where you guys can bring that experience to Florida, because it is truly one of the greatest shopping experiences I've had, and I wish I can share that with a lot more people.
I appreciate it, and I think you should be highly confident that it will end up in Florida, and we will be fully prepared to implement it day one. That infrastructure is purpose-built to be able to convert into that sort of experience. So the day that it's ready, the dummy boxes come down, the live product goes out, the queuing in the store goes away, things are free-flowing and more open, the bar gets converted into what it's supposed to be, and away you go. And that is, those plans exist, and they're ready. So when the state is ready, we're ready.
Beautiful, man. Well, Jesse, I don't want to keep you from the panel behind us.
Oh, it's all good.
They might place you on it after.
I'll probably get a couple.
We're gonna have to see the fake fight between Mike and Rick, man. But what can we look forward to seeing from Columbia Care going forward this year?
Well, look, I mean,
the things you're allowed to share.
Well, I mean, look, number one priority right now is continuing full focus from the team on pushing forward and finalizing the transaction with Cresco. Right. Okay. We think that the strategic rationale for the deal is unchanged. They've got a great team. They've got a great business. We've got a great team. We've got a great business. Those things would be great together, right? I think both companies on their own are still incredibly exciting companies. I think they're great businesses, like I said. So we continue to run them independently as we should, but the focus is on doing everything that we possibly can to get the transaction closed. And then we go from there. So, I mean, what's next for us is, I mean, just, try not to suck at your job and do good, and try to do better in the communities where we can, and be excited for the people that we serve. And I think that's what we got.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to sit with us. I know you had to get the B stage behind your boys here, but
man, it's good to see you. Looking forward to catching up again soon. Hopefully more to come.
Yeah, man. I'll probably hit Delray Beach later this week too.
All right, we'll tell him Jesse sent you.
We'll do, man.